It's just coming up on 20 past 10. I've got a video to do. Let's see how long it takes. I've had so many people asking, so let's find out. Well, here we go now. It's 11:40 now. It's about an hour 20, and I've just been chopping up the subject video and grabbing some images and little clips of film off the internet. And I'm ready to film. Well, I just get myself ready. Quick thanks to my amazing patrons. With massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons Andy Woods, Glenn Chapman, Dark Saber, Chris Holmes, Crafty Keeler, Nal Pinion, William Schofield, Nicola Redmond, AZ Atheist, Grumpy Old Man and Hugh Jars, and my latest patrons Larry XK and Nuha Escalina. Thank you all so very much. So, today we've got Mr. Hans Wormhat. I wonder how he's going to enlighten us. Go ahead, Hans, introduce yourself and roll VT.
Hans Wormhat.
Well, that was short and sweet. You better get on with it.
Really quick video on natural sciences, on spellcraft, words having meanings that are more than just, language isn't just randomness.
Natural sciences and spellcraft. Words have meaning. You should talk to Anthony Riley about that.
Fountain, mountain. Fountain, mountain.
Yeah, so you said. And?
They're literally the same word, except for the first letter.
Right. And science is virtually the same as something interesting that Hans pulled out of his butt, but for a few letters.
Fountain, mountain. Fountains, what they used to be for, people would drink out of the fountain in the middle of the town.
Feeling thirsty, Hans? Go ahead, knock yourself out, have a good drink.
And look at the shape, looks like a mountain, and they have the different springs coming out of it. It's because mountains are fountains.
Hans, that looks absolutely nothing like a mountain. What sort of mountains have you seen? Could you go skiing down that fountain?
And that's like what having that fountain in the middle of the town square. It's like having a smaller representation of the bigger thing.
Well, that's not in the middle of a town, is it, Hans? That's in some big formal gardens. It's there because it looks nice.
It's like here's our mountain that's bringing us our water.
Where do you think that water is coming from? It's coming from the basin at the bottom of the fountain and is pumped to the top to spray back down to the basin. It's not producing water out of thin air.
Which is what mountains do. That's why rivers come from the mountains.
Oh, really? Some rivers and streams come from mountains. Others just come from their catchment areas, the river basins. I mean, because I'm not aware of, for instance, any mountains that are feeding the River Thames.
And it never made sense to me. That's one of the lies that never ever made any sense.
Oh, hell, Hans, you really are paranoid, aren't you? So now you think in schools they're lying to children to hide the truth about the water cycle.
Oh, all the water that's coming down from these mountains, these rivers, they're getting their water from the mountains from snow deposits.
Well, with some water sources, it is melting snow and glaciers. In other places, it's just straight rainfall. And yet others, it's springs where water has come to the surface from the water table below.
And, glaciers melting. That's not how it works. That's just clearly not how it works. There's way too much water involved.
I've got a feeling that you just have no concept whatsoever of scale.
Look at the Amazon.
Where?
All that water in the Amazon. Do you really think that all that water in the Amazon started as rain at some point?
Well, the Amazon River Basin is huge. It's roughly 5.5 million square kilometres. And it rains quite a lot. It rains most days. Probably because it's a rain forest.
That's just not how it works. Rain is a secondary thing.
Well, I hope you're not going to suggest that some of the Amazon's water is made up from melting glaciers.
When they teach you in school the water cycle, they tell you it's all above ground.
Well, that's not true. I was taught about aquifers and the way water soaks into the ground and comes out with the water table. I don't think you listened in school at all.
Oh, the oceans evaporate and make clouds, and then the clouds rain down. But everybody who's ever lived, I believe, should just know there's not enough water coming down from the sky as rain.
Well, where the hell do you think it comes from? All the water that is in aquifers, or that's bubbling out the ground in springs, originates from rain.
To account for all the water that we see in rivers. I think that's just something that we can tell.
So is this part of your natural science then, Hans? Just go with what you can tell, what you can pull out of your butt.
Especially if we've seen a large river with our eyes. That's too much water. That's not coming from rain.
Oh, so you just decide like that it's too much water. Well, look at this.
Wild. Whoa, it's coming quick. Awesome. Should I probably get out of the way?
There's been some rain in an area upstream, and this bone-dry riverbed very quickly becomes
Dang,
a raging torrent. Did someone just leave the taps on? What do you think it might be? That it's all fallen from the sky as rain?
Now, if it's raining heavily for days and days and days, you can see flooding occur.
Yes, of course you can. That's where the amount of rainfall is too much for either the ground to soak up or the rivers to carry away, so you get a flood. Normally, a large portion of that rain soaks up in the ground and is slowly released again.
But it's not like when it stops raining, the river dries up.
You smeg-headed gimboid. Of course rivers dry up if there's not enough water, enough rainfall to maintain them. These are rivers in the UK, and on this last one, you can see all the dead fish.
The river will keep flowing. Big, big rivers will keep flowing, even though it's not raining. It can stop raining for months. That doesn't mean that all the rivers dry up.
Oh, so you're talking about large rivers. Well, of course, large rivers have larger catchment basins. Here's the River Rhine, and with a lack of rain, it dried up.
And it's because it's capillary action.
Hans, are you seriously suggesting that massive rivers like the Mississippi, the Amazon, the Rhine, that they're fed by capillary action?
The mountains soak up water, and it gets filtered as it gets soaked up through the ground. The mountains are like these.
Well, actually, Hans, mountains being made of hard rock usually won't soak up that much comparatively. Hills and farmland and so on, that will soak up a lot of water.
I mean, think of Earth is a medium that water can get pulled through. And just like it's getting pulled through this paper towel, it gets pulled up through the mountains.
Hold on, my old China. You're saying that mountains pull water up through capillary action and then let it down to feed the rivers? Seriously?
It probably has something to do with the pressure difference.
Or maybe it's got something to do with Babe Ruth's batting average. I'm sure that we could think of a few other things that we could pull out of our butts.
Way up in the mountains, the air is thinner, so the water probably gets extra pulled up there.
Extra pulled up? Well, have you thought then, why does rain fall down and not upwards from the lakes and rivers straight up into the sky where there's lower pressure? You twonk.
And I don't know exactly how it works,
Well, that much is certain.
but it's just something that is that the water cycle they teach you in school is just flat out wrong, and they don't want you knowing about the truth, which is underground. Most of this stuff is underground.
Well, some may say, Hans, that you should be 6 foot underground, although I couldn't possibly comment.
When you're in school, they don't teach you about all the underground aquifers, and they don't teach you how to find a well. They don't teach you or how to like find an area where to dig a well.
I know. And there's been so many times in my life where I've desperately needed to know exactly where to dig a well in my garden.
That would be practical information, right?
Well, it would be practical information for those that need to dig wells.
If you go and you read the Bible, wells were very important.
Well, this is true, but I don't think that Judea was connected to the water mains about 2,000 years ago. I could be wrong.
The true water cycle is all underground. That's the point of this video.
Oh, so that was the point of the video, Hans. I was hoping that we'd have a battle of wits, only it appears that you came to the fight unarmed. Anyway, it's 12:45 now, so not bad. That's all the filmy bits done. Now I'm going to go through again, edit it, and balance all the sound, and we'll see where that takes us to. Editing and sound balancing done. All I've got to do now is do the thumbnail graphic, render the video and upload it. About an hour and a half, which will take me nearly till 3 o'clock. So about 4.5 hours. There's your answer. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, stay safe and stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.